Was the THX logo sound stolen from the original When a Stranger Calls? Or was it stolen from the Beatles? Also, how did the THX logo sound predict the success of The Dark Knight all the way back in 1983? Last year, I stumbled upon a forum thread that posed a simple question. Did you know that the THX logo sound has a name? They call it the Deep Note. But in that thread, I found a link to a website that looked like it was designed in 1995, and that website plunged me into the depths of history, going back to Greek mythology and the Bible, and even deeper into finding out how stories like The Dark Knight work so well. This video isn't about sound design, but as it turns out, this specific sound design holds secrets for what makes stories resonate for hundreds or even thousands of years. The secret here is towards the end of this video, because it will really only make sense once we've answered some of these other questions. And this video is organized into 2 chapters. Buckle up. This one goes deep. In 1982, while George Lucas was doing an early screening of Return of the Jedi at the Coronet Theater in the Marina District of San Francisco, he realized that he could barely hear most of the music and some of the sound effects, including Princess Leia's theme song. It was so bad that people thought that they had actually brought the wrong reel. So he tagged Tom Holman to figure out what was going on. Tom found that pretty much everything was working as it should, except the fact that most of the theaters around the world that were about to play this movie had really, really bad sound systems. George Lucas gave the go-ahead to create a new standard for sound systems that would go in theaters all across the world. And so THX was born. But how would they show off the power of these new sound systems? That's when Jim Kessler, who was working on the trailer for THX, asked James Moorer to create a sound that could blow people away.
So he came to me, as this is pure Hollywood, right? And said, I want something that comes out of nowhere and gets really, really big.
This is James Moorer. He's like the perfect mix between an engineer, a programmer, and a musician.
Okay, if you don't mind, I'm going to get comfortable and take my hat off, so.
He created a piece of software that only had one purpose, to create the THX logo sound. So where did the idea come from? Did he steal the idea from When a Stranger Calls? Or from the Beatles? Well, I asked James specifically about his inspirations.
The Bach D minor toccata and fugue. About 20 seconds into it, it builds up note by note by note and then resolves into this huge chord.
But what about that chaotic bit before the final chord?
I thought that the end of the day in the life where there's this long crescendo and then the big piano chord. I thought that was a model for how to do this.
This Beatles song has multiple verses that are sort of contradictory. One verse is about mundane aspects of a day in the life.
Woke up, fell out of bed, dragged a comb across my head.
And another is about the dramatic state of the world.
He blew his mind out in a car. He didn't notice that the lights had changed.
In this book, All the Songs, it describes how they created the finale. The Beatles told the orchestra to pick the lowest note available on their instrument, and slowly, as they played, they would gradually reach the highest note, ending all together at the same time. Then they duplicated that enough times so that there was the equivalent of 160 different instruments playing. Then for the final note, they played the same chord on several different pianos and duplicated that 3 times and let it ring for what feels like 30 seconds. John Lennon called it a tremendous build-up from nothing up to something that absolutely feels like the end of the world. The more I dug into it, the more I kept finding more examples of people who are creating very similar sounds in their songs. started finding all sorts of people who were creating spoofs or covers of the THX logo sound.
Guy, the sound system promo!
The audience is now deaf.
So here's a small question, but why is the THX logo sound resonating with people and being copied more than, say, the sound effect from When a Stranger Calls?
Most instruments, like if you had it done by an orchestra, it would be in what's called equal temperament. It may sound like a detail, but it's not. Several people asked me how come the chord sounded so big. They said it didn't sound like an organ or an orchestra. It sounded, bigger than big. And I said, well, that's entirely due to the tuning, and it relies on a trick of your ear. Your ear is highly tuned and highly wired for just intonation. That is, for partials being 3 times and 5 times exactly 5.0 and 3.0, and the musical fifth being exactly 3/2, 3.0 over 2.0. It's not. Look it up. It's a little bit off. Well, I did it quite deliberately, specifically to knock people out of their chairs.
So on a technical level, this sound is really interesting, but that's not the whole story of why it resonates, and it's definitely not the reason why it predicted the success of The Dark Knight. So I guess now it's time to try and answer the question, how did the THX logo predict the success of The Dark Knight? All great stories have a theme that goes deep. Even if it's not said explicitly in the story, it's felt. In his book, Story, Robert McKee says that a true theme is not a word, but a sentence. One clear, coherent sentence that expresses a story's irreducible meaning. The story of the 3 little pigs tells us that hard work pays off. The story of the tortoise and the hare tells us that slow and steady wins the race. And the boy who cried wolf tells us that lying destroys our credibility.
You do not understand. I can't lie.
These lessons are themes. And James Moorer said that he had a theme for the THX logo sound.
The opening atonal cluster is chaos. And the pitch range is deliberately tight. I wanted it tight enough so that you couldn't possibly follow one sound in it. So that's what gives it the impression of chaos, deliberately overloading your sense of hearing through that. And then when the big chord comes in, especially being just tempered, it's the absolute pinnacle of order. That is as orderly as you can get it. It's a theme that I keep coming back to, the triumph of order over chaos.
Chaos, order. The battle between these two have raged on in stories for thousands of years. In the Bible, it says that God is a God not of disorder, but of peace. In Greek mythology, they thought that before anything existed, there was a primordial god named Chaos that came before the order. And Napoleon Bonaparte is often attributed as saying the battlefield is a scene of constant chaos. The winner will be the one who controls that chaos. Of course, Napoleon didn't say those words, but it feels ancient and it feels true. It resonates, so it sticks. So what happens when you take this idea of order and chaos and you try and make an entire film around just that? In 2006, that's what Christopher Nolan set out to do. In his second Batman film, Christopher Nolan wanted to pit Batman, whose goal is to rid the city of crime and to bring about order, against someone who literally calls himself an agent of chaos. Or, as Alfred succinctly puts, some men just want to watch the world burn. These characters are polar opposites, so it is compelling to watch their philosophies play out on screen. This movie debuted to rave reviews and remains one of the most loved and respected superhero movies ever made. I think from the very beginning, this was bound to happen. Sure, the acting, the cinematography, the score, those things are noted as reasons why people might love that movie. But I think that it goes a lot deeper. I think it has more to do with the DNA. The DNA of a movie is rooted in its theme. And many people don't recognize the DNA, the theme, because most people don't even know what a theme is. John Truby, in his book Anatomy of a Story, says that for most of a good story, the theme is largely hidden. It is quietly growing in the minds of the audience, and it will hit with full force in the end. When people watch The Dark Knight and it raises their heart rate, they are reacting to a theme that has been affecting people the same way for thousands of years. This specific theme of chaos versus order inspired the Beatles all the way back in 1967. It also inspired James Maurer when he created the THX logo sound. It inspired Jim Reeks when he designed the Mac startup sound. And it formed the entire thesis of The Dark Knight. Okay, so how do you and I create something that resonates? Look for theme. If you ask yourself, what feeling is this story making? And you tease that feeling again and again, eventually it will reveal its theme to you. If you can get to that emotional core, that theme, then you will really have something that you can build the rest of the story on, and it will really resonate. Look for theme everywhere. Look in your books, in your movies. Look in painting. Look in unconventional places like your relationships or corporate branding. Some people are doing this really well, and you can learn from them. And some people aren't really using theme at all, and we can see its results, and we can learn from that too. So did the THX logo sound predict the success of The Dark Knight? I'd say sorta, yeah. Sure, the movie works because it has great cinematography, acting, music, but I think it goes way deeper. I think it's the theme. The same theme that's playing in the THX logo sound is present throughout the whole movie of The Dark Knight. If you train yourself to look for theme everywhere, you'll be equipped to find something that really resonates with you and something you can build really good stories on. Next time you think of your favorite story, ask yourself, what's the theme? Before you leave, I'll be really quick. This is only my second video I've uploaded to YouTube, so I could really use your help. I'm sure you know about the like and the subscribe thing. I'm not gonna say that. You can do it if you want. But I'd love if you shared this video with someone who you think would be really interested in very nerdy storytelling stuff. Also, if you have any interest in checking out the books that I referenced in this video, there's links in the description. If you click those and you end up buying it, it won't be any more charge to you, but it will help me just a tiny little bit. Also, if there's any other ways that I can find where you guys can sort of support my creating of these videos, I'll add those links to the description as well. Thanks so much.